Hey friends, what's up? Kaz here. Welcome back to another server admin tour or bucket spigot plugin tutorial. If you're joining for the first time, feel free to subscribe because I do these every week. If you find this video helpful, please leave a like because that helps me out for helping you guys out. And this is Factions Updated. It's been a little bit since we did this one, and it is such a big plugin, and it's still the main plugin used for running factions. It's by Kyorian, and it's made by Massivecraft. Now, Massivecraft, this plugin is actually split up into two jar files. You need the factions jar and then the massive core jar, and then it actually creates the mcore folder outside of your plugins folder, and that's where you do all the modifications. You guys will see that here in a bit. And of course, when you're ever running a plugin, make sure you're running Minecraft, whatever version it is of the plugin. I believe this one does support 1.8 and up, so if you're below 1.8, you're gonna have to go find an older version in order for it to work for your server. Factions is a plugin that allows players to capture different parts of the land, fight over that in order to control different parts of the land and protect different structures in that land. It's kind of like a player run land management system with fighting. You can do allies, you can war against people, there's power boost so you can know how strong your faction is compared to others, and then depending on how powerful you are, you can claim more land, vice versa. Let's talk about permissions. It works pretty much out of the box. You don't really need to do any modifications. You can give some mods or semi-admins access to factions.kit.rank1. That gives them access to the admin command. I believe that just means that they overrides any kind of protections so that they can bypass that stuff while they're investigating anything. If you give them factions.kit.rank2, it also gives them access to the power boost command, as well as modifying any other factions like kicking players, being able to do basically act like they're in every faction. And then there's also a rank 3. There's not much else that gives for that. And then if people have rank 2, they also have access to rank 1 stuff. But every other permission, there's a link in the gibbles below to the permissions page, but pretty much it's up and going out of the box. You do run the F command, and that's going to give you access to just about everything. And you can do F2. FH2, and you can see the all the other pages that are out there, and then you can pretty much just figure it out from here. However, some things to note here: you can do F create hope and F description tutorial. Then you can do F set home, so then that is going to set your home for the faction, so you can do F home in order to go to that home that you set. Now you can also invite players. You do F invite add evil doppelganger, and then you can see that they joined there. Once they do that, do F map, which is pretty cool, and then that tells you all of the wilderness and what's claimed. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick claim. So we do F claim, F claim, we'll just do 1 claim 1, and we're going to try. Okay, so we already got, there we go. So then you get that pop-up when you go out into the wilderness, which is probably going to be over here. Yep. And then we'll go ahead and claim this one. Now we can do F map in order to see the map, and now you can see all the stuff that we have claimed. So you can also do some stuff with players. You can do promote evil doppelganger. So we've promoted him to member. F player. You do F player, and that shows you information about yourself. If you do F money, that's you can manage your faction. You can set different kinds of faction permissions in there, so that's kind of nice. You could just do lists and see all the stuff that you can edit for different players, ranks, all that stuff in your own faction, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot more that you can do, a lot more modifications you could do in the factions. This is kind of more how to get it set up for your server. So we're going to jump over the configuration, take a look at quite a bit of stuff before we jump back and wrap this all up. All right, so here you can see we're running 1.11.2 and it runs great. There's no errors in our console. We're going to jump into plugins. You can see that we are running the massive core and factions. And there is massive core in here. There's not a whole lot to modify in here, actually. The only thing to modify in here is if you want to switch this over to a database and rather than the flat file. And then you can see that there's no factions plugin folder in here because you got to go back to the top, go to mstore, and then mconf is where most of the stuff is going to happen. Now you can see it's not a YML, so I'd highly recommend that you use Notepad++ in order to view this file. Here you can set your aliases, you can set exceptions for different worlds. So maybe you want to disable this in certain worlds. You can put the world list in here of the worlds that you want claiming disabled on, if you want power loss disabled on, power gain disabled on. If you only want it to run in one world, you got to set this to false, and then the exception would be the worlds that it would be enabled in. It's basically kind of like a reverse flip-flop in here. Everything else is pretty straightforward for any modifications and stuff you want to change. You have your power max, power minimum. You have default player role, message of the day priority. There's a lot of stuff in here. You can deny certain commands on enemy territory, so you can't do like a /home or a TP or a warp or a spawn if you're in enemy territory. So you can't go into somebody's territory, do a bunch of damage, and then just quick teleport out, because this will all be blocked. If you have any other plugins, you can modify that and block them in here, add that to the list. Now here's kind of the big deal here. Here you have the chat. Now you can set this to false if you want to use Essentials chat or some other kind of chat. Otherwise, you can modify how this looks. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on in here. You have a bunch of variables in here, which there'll be a list on all the stuff. And then you can also, this pipe, and then it lets you modify this faction name. And now I think RP adds a space to the right of the faction name right before the messages will start. Otherwise, if you want to use Essentials chat, you can just set this to false and then just modify, it'll be over here, modify how it shows up in your Essentials chat. You have a whole lot of different kinds of chat modifications in here as well. I'd recommend that you use just the built-in chat because of this whole pipe modification stuff. There's a whole list of things that you can put on that, which is super cool. So there's a whole lot more that you can modify. Like I said, we're trying to just kind of get up and going. You can look through a lot of different stuff and do a little bit of tweaking, but like I said, it kind of works up and like it just works out of the box. So let's jump back in and wrap it all up. The last thing to go over is flags. Basically, that's what you can modify in your territory. So if you do F flag, you have a list there. So you do F flag list, and it's on or off. So you can do F flag PvP. Flag set PvP. Oops, there we go. And then yes. So now PvP can happen in this place. So that's about all to go over. There's a lot more to this plugin. Factions is super complicated. I hope I got you off to a good start to get this all set up. It's going to take a little bit of tweaking and testing out for your server, but hopefully, like I said, this gets you started. So this is Kaz reminding you guys all, enjoy the game. God bless.